expected the frozen tundra to walk in.
Can I get? Do you have the context for all the municipal officials like Columbia here? They're here because I want to send that thing. That I sent you, and you said it was okay.
Yeah.
We want to go up to them as well. I include everybody. I don't piss nobody off.
Somebody let me know when it's officially 5:30.
Joe, Kathy.
Yeah.
1 minute. 1 minute. We could be out of our regular meeting by
Great.
almost by 6:30.
You got it. No problem.
We've got a presentation from the library. That's going to be the longest thing. That's what I did. Who was that? Yeah. No, Herb's I said they weren't going to make it a priority. The list doesn't mean anything. The list is not fine. Yeah.
No, we didn't.
I know. It is. Exactly. I think it's not either. Yeah, I know. Exactly. Are we ready? All right, Council, we ready? Let me call to order the special town council meeting for this Tuesday, July the 9th. Hope everybody had a good 4th. I know there were lots of celebrations around Mount Pleasant, the big one at Patriots Point, but lots of golf cart parades all over. It's good to see everybody celebrating. Item number 2 on our agenda is public comment. If anyone is here for public comment, please come forward, give name and address, 2.5 minutes. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Item 3, executive session, legal and contractual for appointment of 3 municipal judge positions. Do we have a
Move
motion?
to go into executive session.
We have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the appointment of 3 municipal judge positions. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right. We will go into executive session where we just came from, upstairs.
Steve, they were asking questions where you were at. They had a burning recreation question. Sorry, yeah. Well, that's why I had
Mark, you need any pretzels in there? I mentioned it to John. We had a senior staff meeting. We were talking about it. So it's really cool to even he might do an article in Motion Magazine or something like that. And it's not going to get enough people see it. That when somebody else starts complaining about what you was actually doing, they're like, no, actually, that's not how they do it. Yeah, that's kind of John definitely contacted just something we talked about years ago. It's completely someday when if that day occurs, time to take on the project.
A little wet, good.
Oh no, our emergency coordinator entered the room. That storm was worse than we thought. There's Shannon out there. All right, we are reconvening from executive session. We are in the process of reconvening from executive session. In our 5:30 special town council meeting, when we're ready, we will finish that, adjourn, and then we'll start our 6 p.m. monthly meeting. Now we're good. Okay. So please note that we have reconvened at executive session. No action was taken, no votes were cast. I believe we have a motion resulting from those deliberations.
Yes, I would like to move that we reappoint Judge Tanya Stobbs, Judge Kelly Young, and Judge Thomas Hesse to Municipal Court.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The 3 incumbent judges are reappointed. That concludes our agenda for our 5:30 special town council meeting. So this meeting is adjourned. Christine, what time do you have? That's what I've got. I've got 5:57 too. Yeah. I've never understood that. That clock is always a minute or two slower than what's on there.
Man, come on with the thing.
Got this new debit card for my Girl State Alumni Foundation.
Oh,
I
wow.
put it somewhere safe.
You keep finding it.
Can't find it.
That
And I
sounds
need
like
it-
something I
need
would
it to
do.
update the, we have monthly bills and it's being paid by one of our committee members. She has to get reimbursed.
Is this for California Girl Scout?
California.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm president of our foundation for California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with Palmetto, I go for a couple nights and speak, but I'm not involved in the organization. Your favorite person?
Somebody said about council members. When I got orientation back in 20, I said, maybe go once just to see something as no picture. Go sit there taking notes. Small crowd tonight.
I'm pretty fast, don't you?
I think we'll be done at 6:30. The library's making a presentation.
My daughter's got a big turnaround tonight.
I love these short meetings.
She's making friends and she hates the camp aspect. Like she's like, if I could stay in a hotel and eat at restaurants, I love camp. And I'm like, yeah, you're spoiled. You're spoiled. And she's like, well, but she also has allergies, so the food at the camp, her mouth has been swollen for like 5 days. And so she's been to the doctor, they have no idea what it is. She's talked to the chef, she walked through the kitchens, she looked at the labels, cannot figure out why her mouth is swollen. So when she gets back, every day. They
Wow.
stay in Zyrtec. So Monday when she gets back,
Wow.
she has a doctor appointment proactive. And I think it might be her thyroid. His thyroid can be as positive, and Joel has a thyroid issue. His brother's birthday, his mom does, and it's onset is in puberty. So I'm like, maybe it's your thyroid. And she's always tired. So I'm like, let's do the full blood work on you, babes, and figure out what's going on. Because it's not. But she doesn't eat it, and she's eating like 1 meal a day. And she's like, you need to eat food. And she's like, look at toxic food. And my Chloe, I'm like, I was like, then go to the Melody Freeze, which is like a little cafe, and just buy a food there. She's like, it's expensive. I'm like, I put money in it. Go eat freaking food. And she weighs 90 pounds. She has no weight to lose. I'm like, go eat. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, because I think she needs to learn to like, be a camper. But I guess in college she'll be able to make her own food if she wants. So, it's a child. You spoil them.
Waiting on the clerk. You need to wind your clock. It's slow. You got the key?
Joel's getting home Friday. Is that do we still have 1 more minute?
I think we
Less
got
than a minute.
another minute.
See, it's already 6:01 on mine.
I know, mine too. Always a minute or two behind. Huh? Yeah, it was great. We haven't done the Yorktown in years. We did the Yorktown
Oh, and they only had it on.
the deck. There was nothing like it. But,
Why did they do nothing Ranside this year?
well, if the parking lot was supposed to be demolished and under construction, so by the time they had to put all the plans in place, and then Bennett didn't get around, so it was just sitting there.
It's too bad.
And I get it. They had a critical time period where it was go or no go, and then it was too late. But they did have some spill over there. But the wind was blowing. I didn't take a swim. I mean, it was so cold.
You just did
I think we're ready. All right. Good evening, everybody. Let me welcome you to the Town Council meeting for this Tuesday, July the 9th. I hope everybody had a safe and happy 4th of July. I know it was one of the busiest I've seen in Mount Pleasant in years. Lots of neighborhood celebrations and, of course, the big one on the Yorktown. We will begin our meetings tonight. Items 1 and 2 are the prayer and the pledge, with the prayer by Chaplain Paula Mullen and the pledge led by Mayor Pro Tem Willie. Please stand.
Thank you, Mayor. Let us bow our heads and go to God in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for this gift of today. We thank you for the rain and ask that you keep all that are still out there in it safe. We thank you for our town council, for our first responders and our staff, and we thank you all for those who have gathered in this room this evening. Lord, we ask your blessing upon each of them. As we move into the meeting, Lord, we also ask, we know there are words to be spoken and that there are decisions that need to be made. So we ask that you give us also your gift of wisdom upon all and for all. In your holy name, we ask all of this. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item 3 is approval of the agenda. Do we
Move
have
for
a motion?
approval.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Public hearings, awards, and presentations. Item A is a presentation by Charleston County Library System, or are they here tonight?
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay, so they didn't
We'll
make it.
follow up.
Okay, thank you very much. I didn't see anybody, I thought. And I understand the longevity award recipient was called away, so we won't have that one either. All right. This moves us to item 5, approval of minutes from the June 11 special and regular town council meetings and the May financial statement.
Move for approval of both council minutes as well as financial statements.
Second. We have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The minutes and financial statement are approved. Item 6 is public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment, please come forward, name and address, 2.5 minutes, and when your name is called.
Thank you, Mayor. David Donato.
Thank you. As you all know, the PD amendment for town center will be presented today. I just want to start by saying thank you to town staff, the planning commission, the town council, and mayor. Everyone has given this a lot of thought, a lot of attention, and I really appreciate all the effort and thought everyone's given it to date. We're proud to have had very positive public input meetings, a positive recommendation from the commission, an endorsement from the Post Courier. As a reminder, this request is rooted in a desire to be proactive, to keep our crown jewel, the Mount Pleasant Town Center, the most expensive asset we've ever bought, and an asset we love and cherish today, to keep it vibrant. And I think that's the same thing we all want. And so, as a reminder, what you'll be presented today is the original draft of the PD amendment that we put forth. We've discussed some changes, some changes that some of you all want to see, but just by the rules of how this runs, you'll see the original draft today. Please bear that in mind. And there's time between now and the second reading to make any pertinent amendments. We recognize there are still some issues on council's mind, and we're open to finding win-win outcomes for all of them. So again, thank you for your time, and the whole team is here once again tonight.
Mike Tinky. Okay. Jeff Jacobs.
Hello, Council. How y'all doing today? I'm really just here to express the concern of
Name and address, please.
I'm sorry.
Name and address.
I'm sorry.
Name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff Jacobs, 310 Harbor Point Drive, Mount Pleasant, 29464. Just want to express some concern about the closure of the public dock on Shipping Creek in the middle of summertime. A lot of stuff happens on that dock. With the creek Shem Creek being so busy now, all the restaurants are packed every Saturday. If you want to go down to the creek for any reason, and can't really find a place to park any size boat at any of the docks that Saltwater Cowboy, Shem Creek, Reds, all those docks are tied up with small boats and things like that. Of course, they have a larger boat, but it's to me the timing of this closure. My understanding is supposed to be sometime in July and 1st of August. That's still a lot of summertime left, and there are a lot of families do that. I don't know if been in there recently and saw all the people that's training people to throw cast nets and stuff down there, and all the fishing that goes on off that floating dock is very important to our community. And I just want to express my concerns about the closure, maybe letting that possibly be a wintertime project, not or a fall project, not a middle of the summertime project. But I hope you'll consider that. Thank you.
Ellen Moore.
Good evening. I'm here to...
Name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ellen Moore, 1469 Gunnison Street in Carolina Park. I'm here for two reasons. Number one, to cast a vote supporting the second farmers market in whatever we're calling the section north of 41 in North Mount Pleasant, Upper Mount Pleasant. I think of it as Mount Pleasant, so that's what I'll refer to it as. But we really think that the 3:30 time frame on Tuesday is difficult for families that have lots of activities and things going on in their lives to make it to the existing farmers market, and think that we can support another one. We think the town can support another one. I know there's several locations under consideration in Park West, the schools, the rec center. I know that Carolina Park Fields are also under consideration. I know eventually there will be some traffic cluster situations going on with the expansion of the Stockdale Circle we'll have to contend with, so we'll have to contend with it. But adding a second farmers market in Mount Pleasant will add some much needed services to our community and bring us together in our thriving area of Mount Pleasant. We really need these services, so let's not stop there. And I'm sure you've had discussions about whether we can really support it. I think we can. I think our community can, and there's a real desire. Our growth has costs, and we're making important investments in the infrastructure of Mount Pleasant to support all of the growth going on. You recently approved 100 additional affordable housing units in our area of Carolina Park in Mount Pleasant. And now Housing for All Mount Pleasant is actively promoting that on the website, indicating the units will be available in 2026. So that'll be here before you know it. We've got to continue to invest in the infrastructure that will support all of this additional growth throughout our community. And I know that's what you're all working on and considering. So I thank you for that. And we appreciate your support of all of Mount Pleasant.
Morgan Ventavania.
Good evening. My name is Morgan Benavegna. Address is 320 Broad Street, Charleston, South Carolina. To David's point earlier, just want to let you all know that we are available as a consultant team if any questions arise on the new business item 1 of Mount Pleasant Town Center.
Alan Mayman.
That's all I have, sir.
That's it. Is there anyone who did not get to sign up who would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council. I'm here in support of the PD amendment for 1200 Innovation Way to allow fitness.
Your name and address.
Yes.
Oh, Charlie Carmody, 107 New Street, Indiana Village, Mount Pleasant.
Yes.
1200 Innovation Way, PD amendment. I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me ask our parliamentarian a quick question. I see that the representative from the library is here, probably delayed by the storm. We have moved on from that point in the agenda. Are we prohibited by law from moving that at this point?
No, sir. This is a non-voting item.
Right.
It would be appropriate to just have a motion of council to amend the agenda to allow the speaker in this particular time.
I'll
slot.
move to amend the agenda.
Second. Okay. And I see Angela Craig is here. I know you were probably delayed by the storm because you had already confirmed that you would be here. So the motion is to allow, this is not something we're voting on. We have no money involved. This is just for our information of what's going on in our community. Any further discussion? Yes.
Where is this moving it in the agenda?
So we can move to after item 6 of public comment. So we
Okay.
6A.
Okay.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Angela, would you like to come forward? Thank you. She is also one of our constituents in Carolina Park, I believe, right? Yes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Angela Craig. I am the Executive Director of the Charleston County Public Library. Thank you for your time this evening. I apologize, I was delayed due to weather. I have a brief presentation about the success of the library referendum, which actually started right here in Mount Pleasant with the Wando Mount Pleasant Library. As we're getting that presentation up, I just wanted to see who has a library card, just out of curiosity. Excellent, thank you, and I hope you're putting it to good use. Mount Pleasant, I am a constituent of Mount Pleasant, and we are blessed with 3 wonderful libraries right here in Mount Pleasant. As you know, the 2014 referendum designated 13 new buildings built. 5 new buildings built and 13 renovated. And so we have 1 new building built, which is the Wando Mount Pleasant Library. We renovated the Village Library as well as the Mount Pleasant Regional Library. This year, we have actually celebrated the 5th year anniversary of Wando. We cut the ribbon on that 5 years ago in 2019, which is just phenomenal. We were able to do in the last, I know 5 years goes by so fast. I've been the director for 5 years, and that was the first library that I was able to cut the ribbon on. It was an absolute privilege. And that library is 40,000 square feet. I hope you've had a chance to visit it. It is a wonderful jewel of a complex. It is right next to the Carolina Park Elementary and also the Wando High School. And I know that our auditorium has been highly used and prized by the community. We have had anything from astronauts coming to present for summer reading to local groups that have come to present. The Wando Mount Pleasant Library, thank you so much. 40,000 square feet, a 250-seat auditorium. We have 2 editing labs, which has been very helpful with workforce development and educational success, 2 of our focus areas. And this is all free and open to the public. Our creative studios as well, where we have green screens and computers, and we can help with video editing, which has been phenomenal, particularly with emerging technologies such as AI. We have been able to help people wrap their minds around that, and we are a good testing ground for that. We have a dedicated children's, teen, and adult area. Those are functioning very well. We are very popular. If you come to Wando Library anytime after the high school is out, we are a happening place for teens. We love the teens. We do hold them accountable to our policies. We have a youth policy. Sometimes we have to ask teens to leave for the day depending on behavior, but we always want them back. Right now, we are thriving with summer reading. Wando Library has some of the highest completion rates for our summer reading program, I'm very proud to say. Some of the programs that we have had, if we can advance, thank you. This is again, we can advance the next slide. This is again Wando Library. I'm sorry, this is Mount Pleasant. We could go back one slide. I'm so sorry. This is our fishing program that we had, where we had some fly fishermen come out and demonstrate how to use that technique. The middle picture is with our teens. We were talking about opioids and how to avoid those particular drugs, and then also tactics to use to ask for help if you know or if you have or facing addiction. We also have a thriving story time program where we focus on talking, singing, reading, writing, and play. And we have record-breaking numbers every year where our kids come in and we help parents check out books for their kids to read at home. Can advance to the next slide. Thank you. This is Mount Pleasant Library. This was closed in May 2021 for renovation. We were able to completely renovate the interior of the building. It has a dedicated children's area, a dedicated teen area, as well as an adult services area. We were able to add more computers because computers have been increasingly used by our public, but we retained more shelves at this library because this library has some of the highest checkout rates in the entire county. We have 18 libraries, but the Mount Pleasant Library has some of the highest checkout rates. If you advance to the next slide, we have a thriving homeschool group that comes to this library. This is actually the Chick Incubator program, where we had a farmer group come out and talk about incubating chicks and how to grow your eggs, and this is the process of it, which again, educational success. Anyone is able to come to our library programs, but this is just something that has been a particular useful resource to our homeschool groups. We also have a thriving veterans group at the Mount Pleasant Library, where we write letters and we also support them through programming. The Village Library, thank you to the town very much for our use of the Village Library. This is such a sweet and special little branch. We closed it in October 2022. We reopened it last year, actually. It's a house. It's a small little house, but we were able to renovate it and make it a little more spacious inside. We didn't add any square feet, but we were able to make the floor plan a little more efficient. And some of our most special programs that we have there, if you go to the next slide, is our Easter program. We literally have over 100 kids, not inside the branch, but because that was over capacity, but outside the branch, where we have an Easter egg hunt, we have the Easter Bunny come, and we have a thriving story time there as well. I have had the privilege to visit the village at several of their story times. There is a beautiful group of families that just walk in there, but then also there are people that park at the church and they walk over. It's a small but mighty branch, and so thank you for the town investment of allowing us to have that resource. It really does make a difference in the population and allows us to have a different scale of services for a town such as Mount Pleasant. And so I'm happy to take any questions. I just wanted to come to you and give you a report that as far as referendum is concerned, Mount Pleasant has its brand new library with Wando and its renovated spaces. One of the spaces is so generously provided by the town of Mount Pleasant. We are so happy for that investment. We are very, very thrilled to have our 3 libraries here in this town. We love serving Mount Pleasant. It's a wonderful place to live and grow, and we are very supported by our community. Our 5 focus areas are literacy, workforce development, educational success, community engagement, and equity. And that is the center of everything that we do for our services and our partnerships as well with you. So were there any questions from council?
Thank you. Any questions?
Mayor, I don't have a question, but I want to thank you, as well as Charleston County Public Works, for maintaining the property on Ananapp Boulevard. It had gotten pretty bad for a while. But since the Mount Pleasant Library has been reopened, the work on the drainage area now looks more like a pond area that has been cleaned and obviously is a water feature as part of the library. So thank you, and please thank the Public Works Director for their work.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I have 4 kids, so they are familiar with the summer reading program and the prizes, which is one of their fun things. And I was wondering how you connect with with businesses to get those prizes, because I noticed it was like Taco Bell or those kinds of things, as opposed to if there's opportunity for smaller businesses or local businesses to get involved with that.
Yes, there's always opportunity. We try to have as many opportunities that would apply to all of our 18 library locations, but not everybody might have a Taco Bell, etc. So we start there, but we do absolutely have more regional opportunities, and those are a case-by-case basis as well. And so I'm happy to reach out to the town if there is a good point of contact whenever we're always planning for summer readings. When we plan for next year, we can also reach out and see if there's any local opportunities for the Mount Pleasant area.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Rambo.
My wife just texted me. She was watching the meeting. This is the first time she's ever done this, but she wanted to relay that she would love more story times at the Mount Pleasant Library, that they're very much enjoyed and they're crowded, and so potentially adding more would be excellent.
Which branch, Mr. Rambo? Which branch? All branches or a specific branch? I'll do my best.
Well, I all the Mount Pleasant branches.
Okay, we'll
specifically
work on
for us, we're the Mount Pleasant branch.
You could tell her
the
message
map
received.
is varied, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for all your service and for providing everything to the families of Mount Pleasant and around the area. I think one place to start as well is maybe you could go to the chamber, the Mount Pleasant Chamber, and you could connect with a lot of local businesses there.
We have. They've been very supportive with our workforce development initiatives locally, and we're always looking and open to developing partnerships. Thank you.
No prizes?
I'm
have
not
to
sure
have
if
a
we've
talk
asked for
about
prizes, but I will say that you sent me to ask for prizes. So thank you for that.
Anyone else? Thank you, Angela. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time again. My apologies for being late.
No problem.
Thank you.
That concludes our amended agenda item 6A. So item 7, and make sure you flip the page. This is our consent agenda. It's items A, B, C, and D.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving consent agenda items A, B, C, and D, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Final readings of consent agenda items A, B, C, and D.
This brings us to section 8, planning. Item A, new business. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to say first before I make a motion that it was when planning committee sent this to full council, it was not our intent to have it come forth for first reading. It was our intent to come sort of gather information from the full council to take back to committee as we sort of work through this proposal and the sort of changes that we would want to this proposal. So I would like there to be a full discussion of this topic so that the planning committee has information from the fuller council as we move forward. But I don't know if it's appropriate at this moment to make the motion to defer or to have a full discussion and then make the motion. Mr. Padrini.
Ma'am, I think it'd be appropriate either way, but one way to do it would be to make a motion to defer items 1 and 2 because they go together, and then have the discussion during the discussion period.
Okay, so I would like to move to defer items 1 and 2 to next month, and of course, have it go back to planning
All
committee.
right. We have a motion to defer
Second.
items 1 and 2.
Second.
And a second. Is there? Okay. So did I hear you say? I just want to make sure. May we discuss the underlying thing in this
Yes.
motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So your questions or points for that discussion would be?
Well, I sure can keep
How,
going.
how about we do this just so we keep it where it needs to be, and this is not a law or rule or anything, but instead of opining on things, why don't we mention the things that we think need to be addressed, because this is really committee work and we can't vote tonight anyway. So if you have a comment about what I need to see addressed so I get to comfortable on this is this or that, because we can debate all night, but there's no vote. There's no vote cast. Yes, sir. Mr. Brownstone.
I have a question, sort of a procedural question to get us started. Is there a certain time frame that this has to be heard by the council? Is there a 6-month window?
Yes, sir. So it received a public hearing at the Planning Commission in April. So I believe October. So there's time. But it has to have final reading within 6 months of the public hearing. And I can't remember the exact date, but it was the second to the last Wednesday in April is when it was held for public hearing. So it would be 6 months from that date that it has to have final reading. And I think it puts us in October around that time.
And a quick follow-up, what happens if we do not meet that 6-month window?
It's approved. Oh, I'm sorry. It's denied.
Yeah, it's denied.
So it can. Essentially, it can. If there's no reading, it would just fall off any agenda, and then it would have the effect of denial, which would mean that they have to reapply.
And is there
after a year waiting period?
But can we waive that 1 year period?
You can.
We could waive that 1 year period.
There could then be a letter indicating for the circumstances allowed under our statute.
And the 1 year would be from the time the public hearing was held. So they would have to wait a year as of April, that April public hearing meeting.
Okay, good question. Yes, sir, Mr.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I would like to suggest that maybe our chairman of the planning committee point out those items that we had pretty good concurrence on and others where we really need to hear from council members, and also those items that we didn't feel should happen, and maybe not in detail, but I think it would be helpful for some of the council members who were not at the planning committee meeting to kind of hear how we felt on maybe 3 items that appeared to be the main items why we wanted to bring that to the full council.
Sure, I can. So I think that the things that where committee was really needing more input were density of housing and sort of the split of housing between between market rate and attainable housing, and then also the heights that were requested and kind of the location of all of that. And then I think that another question that has come forth that I think is something that we need to address is we want to be proactive, but is this too proactive? This is a very sort of broad request. There's no specific project that is coming to the table where we have parameters for what that project would entail. This would be sort of more like a blanket gift of expanded usage for this PD with no concrete plan in mind. And is it premature to be taking that step at this point? So I think that's kind of the third thing that I would like this council to give feedback on. So density, height, and timing.
Mr. Mayor, if we could also talk about the way in which the density would be placed on the site in terms of what was in the comprehensive plan versus what we didn't get from the planning commission. And under the comprehensive plan, these kind of developments were supposed to be done with a wedding cake kind of plan. So I think that helps as well in terms of where the density is placed versus in height versus generally where it's placed.
Yes. Anyone else?
I'll chime in on
Okay.
the density issue. I think that an area of extreme need in Mount Pleasant is for the folks who work in our local businesses. And I know, in some other areas of the country, a developer will get a certain number of market rate and they'll get a certain number of affordable units, and those affordable units are never built, and just the market rate ones are. So I'd like some degree of assurance or some clause in a development agreement that would guarantee if residential units are added here that they're fully committed to those workforce units as well, to make sure that both would be built.
Yes. Yes, sir. Mr. Mike, fine.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brownstein. I would agree with that. My comment is, I think this touches on, and I realize how large of an effect the planning committee has on this, obviously, but we are touching in economic development here. We are touching in the budget committee as the sales taxes can change. We are touching in the PJL, first responders. Do we need more police, more fire, things of that sort? I think that this is town center, and it's truly the center of the town, and this could be a really wonderful place for our citizens to be able to go and hang out with their families and hopefully have some wonderful places to enjoy, and maybe expanding some green space and things like that we've spoke about. My question becomes, it's truly the center of town. It truly is going to have a very large effect on the citizens. Should we not be sending this back to X amount of committees that are going to, or should other committees be taking their portion? Like, does the education committee need to get with CCSD if they're adding X amount of housing to this, and what effect it's going to have on the school system? Can it go back to the committees that will be affected? And do we not owe this to go to possibly a special town council meeting, which means an extra day, but a council of the whole, and be able to just talk this out and have everything presented to us over a 4 to 6 hour period, just like we do the retreat? This is one of those very large things that all of council may need to be weighing in on it. It may be, I don't want to use the word quicker because I don't want to be quicker, but how many things are going to get missed because we don't come together as a board to discuss such a very large project that's going to have such a large impact on the citizens of Mount Pleasant. So that's my input on that. I'd be happy to have a special council meeting on that.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Mayor, I
Chairman.
have one other thing. We all, as council members, received a letter or an email, if you will, from a constituent, and I'm not going to name names, regarding the issues with our fire department as it relates to this particular location and development. And I would like to ask Chief Mixon to respond to those, because there are some very good answers that recognize the questions, and it's important that we know that there is a very good response availability at this site from our fire department, and it needs to be on the record.
Did you mean you want him to do this now? Or
Yes, sir.
Now, okay, because he's there now.
Yes, sir. That's exactly why I asked that.
And just real quick, they, as part of the impact assessment, you have to show proof of coordination.
Mhm.
And so I pulled this up, but there has been coordination with all the different departments. And so this is sort of the proof of coordination with the fire department. And I'll turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. I mean, I think specifically the main question that came up was the ability to have a pumper in that district. And I think the assertion was that we don't. Currently, we do. It's a rescue pumper. So in their first run district, which Town Center is for Fire Station 4, they are prepared and trained to function as a first two engine. So we do have pumping capabilities in that district. Is there anything more?
And where is that?
6 Mile Road. So 1.4 miles measured today from the kind of the center of Town Center of Barnes and Noble.
And do we not have sufficient fire apparatus to respond, whether it's from 6 Mile or in need of help from other stations as well as personnel?
Yes, sir, we do. We also, the Auto Aid is part of that. Isle of Palms, Daniel Island, for, speaking specifically of multi-story commercial dwellings or commercial businesses, it is a large response, and that's something that we can traditionally handle with the amount of personnel, just with our people. So we rely heavily on Auto Aid with that. And there are some things in our current strategic plan that we've looked at this area. So we're prepared and we're ready to work through those things, and we do have that capability.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We are in discussion on the motion to defer items 1 and 2. And I just wanted to just clarify to one point, Councilman Iacofano, there, a good point. There is nothing stopping any of the committees from taking up any aspect that could affect them. And one of the comments I'd like to make is, since this is a PD, this is where we get to write into something that we want, because you can't do conditional zoning, but you can write things into a PD. And we need to look in, as chair of education, we need to look into, what is the school capacity? We had the conversation the other day. Could this cost people to get rezoned from Beckham to Wando, or, to another middle school or something? And we certainly don't want to do this to the detriment of our citizens. Last comment I want to make is any place that we can have a redevelopment like this in the already built environment, that is sustainability. And so we've got a chance to do this right, and we've got a chance to do it in an already developed area, and that's exciting. And I agree with, I think, everything I've heard said tonight, especially about we got to make sure if we think we're getting attainable units, that we actually get the attainable units and not just the market units. So we've got work to do, but I think we can do that. I'll mention one other thing, and it's aesthetic. That if you go back where the picture was, I know we will have discussions on the height, but it just brought to mind the aesthetic part to me. Remember, we spent a long time and had special council meetings going over building heights.
Yep.
And this would be reversing what we came up with, which is the step back where you're lower as you come in and it's higher towards the middle. As this was drawn, all the height was going to be where you come in at the street, and then it's going to be at the existing level for the retail. I know the hotel's at 65. What's the retail at? 30
Yeah.
feet? 30 feet. So you'd have high here and low there, which is backwards of the low here, high there. So we just got to work out some things like
So
that.
this is the existing height right now, with the exception of the garage and the hotel. It's all 35.
35.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes, sir.
Just to be clear, what was planning commission's recommendation on height, and what was planning committee's recommendation on height?
So planning committee did not have a recommendation on height. They had a recommendation to town council for the parking ULI and the 10% open space. There was a motion made for the density, and that motion failed 2-2, and then there was also no recommendation on the height. The planning commission recommended, and on a 4-3 vote, approved the 10% open space, so that was unanimous for both commission and committee. The density, they wanted what it's currently entitled at, which is 4 units an acre, and the additional 4 if they do the attainable housing, so a total of 8. They are proposing 12. And then for the height, they did it kind of a different way. They wanted to do maximum height 55 feet for 20% of the site, and they didn't specify location. They just specified a maximum percentage. 40 feet height for 35%, and then 35-foot height for the remainder of the site. And so that was what came from the commission.
All right. I think we see the issues that we've got to work through in various committees. Is there any further discussion on the motion that's before us now? Yes, sir.
Yes. So I just wanted to applaud the town center staff. I hope that you're not taking this as a setback. I think it's more of an opportunity for us to get together and come up with a solution, as the mayor said. I do applaud you for being proactive. I grew up in a community that had several malls that died and were sitting there vacant for many years, causing a lot of problems with the surrounding communities. I don't think we're there with the Mount Pleasant Town Center, but I do appreciate that you're looking to the future and looking at how retail is changing and attempting to be on the front end of that. So just didn't want you to walk out of here entirely disappointed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I guess as a chair of the planning committee, I still feel that I have not heard from certain people on council that I would like to hear from at least something, even if it's just no opinion at this point in time and they want something further, just so that I have a better sense as we go back to this.
Sure.
Mr. Santos.
That doesn't mean at this minute.
That was cold. That was cold. No, I'm listening to everybody. You know, I live right across the street from it, and I go to places here all the time. The Hyatt was really a nice little hotel. I worked for Hyatt years ago, but they got a lot of nice things there that, you know, including the Regal Theater. You got different restaurants and all you can go to. I like when they do music in the park. You get a lot of people, different people come and can sit out in the parking lots and listen to the music. So I think there's a lot of good things that go on there, and I'm just kind of wanting to hear what everybody else has to say, because listen, I remember when that was a cornfield. So I've seen that facility being built up and built up and built up, and I think it's been really good. I know we did our skateboard park there. They allowed us to do a skateboard park years ago. So, I mean, they've been very good to the town when we've been able to ask them to do stuff. When we did our triathlons, they let us use their parking lot as well. So they've been a good friend of the town in the past. So I'm just trying to listen to everybody else, but I've seen them from the time they were born to where they're at now, and I think they've done a really good job for us, and I'm just wanting to see what everybody else thinks as well.
Okay. All right. We will call the question if there's no objection. All those in favor of the motion to defer items 1 and 2, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion is deferred. The motion carries. The item is deferred. Thank you. All right, this moves us to section B, old business. There are no planning old business items. Section 9, committee action items, bids and purchases, approval of vehicle donation through the 2024 Law Enforcement Target Zero Challenge.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Just for discussion, this requires council action to receive donated items such as this. All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Section 10 is council new business. Item 1, resolution.
Move to approve.
All right, motion to approve. This has to do with emergency space should we need it in a really bad storm in North Charleston. That's my understanding. All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do you need to read that, or am I reading that wrong? Do you need to announce the number, or is that just a resolution number?
It's just a resolution.
Got it. Thank you. Item number 2, resolution extending the term of the Mount Pleasant Green Space Environment, Ecology, and Natural Resources Commission.
Move for approval.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. This was necessitated by the fact that when we set it up, there are 1-year terms that are expiring, and I think they expired this month. We plan to put it out there for anybody who wants to apply, just like we do for other commissions and boards. And the committee felt like it needed to have it. We didn't want people to be applying for a 1-year position. It needed to be a 2-year position.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is the Green Commission, I guess my question is, I feel like a lot of our commissions exist for a purpose, and they issue a report and then they are done and then we move on. Is the Green Commission different than that?
I would say yes, but for right now, that's not the debate unless you want it to be.
Well, I guess my question is, if we extend it, we're extending it. It's not set to expire for another year, and then this extension would put us 2 years out. Is that correct?
To 2026. Yes.
Right. So that's making it
go
more
through
like
the
a
same thing. It
lengthy-
would still need to be renewed to become
in 2 years.
become permanent. Yes.
But so it would basically make Green Commission last 4 years as opposed to 2 or 3 years. Wait,
3 years.
3 years
3
as opposed to
instead of 2.
2. What it was slated for was 2 years.
Was 2. Right.
Okay. I guess I just wonder why we would need to do that at this point in time. Would it be better to get kind of a report from them on their work and what they've done? And because I mean, we have people that have like off terms kind of all the time. So I don't know, because if we just extend it, then when the next people expire in a year, then
They
theirs
will
would-
all expire in 26.
so it wouldn't be staggered anymore.
Well, the point is, and Jake, you made the motion in the committee about extending it for a year. The point of this is that we either reappoint people, and we got one person who has to go off because he's moving out of the town. Reappoint people, then we're going to have to put it out for one more for just 1 year, because we established it to stay for 2 years. But the committee felt, and there was a motion and it carried unanimously, that we would just extend it a year, and then we will go through this debate in 2026 about whether to make it permanent or not.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But so I know, like with the recreation referendum, a very large discussion that happened was, is this tax hike ever going to sunset? And we had to let them know that yes, it sunsets. Well, this commission was going to sunset, just like the rec commission would sunset after 2 years, and then you would have the discussion, the report would be provided, and then you would agree to extend it for another 2 years. I think what this does is it creates, I don't know when it's ever going to expire. It's going to go into perpetuity, because what's being proposed is that made a 1 year term. So now you need to put a person in for half of the people in for another year, or extend them for 2 years. But now that we're extending them for 2 years instead of 1 year, now we've got to extend the commission automatically for a year to make that happen. So then when you hit 2025, and those people are supposed to be expiring. Now we're going to say, well, now we can't expire. Now we can't extend them for a year. We got to extend them for 2 years. So now we're going to extend the commission to 2027. It's just going to keep going. I don't know why we just don't keep the original. I like the Green Commission. I appreciate the Green Commission, but I just don't understand why we don't sunset it at the 2 years and do exactly what the Recreation Commission is doing, which is to turn the report in on what has been done. I think the report needs to be turned in a little earlier. I think on the Rec Commission waited too long, so you had to extend the Rec Commission by 90 days in order for the report to be due. So the report should be due 90 days before the commission expires, and then at that point you can extend it, and then if you want to make it 2-year terms, you make it 2-year terms. I don't know when it's ever ending, and if it's going to just be a permanent commission, then just make it a permanent commission, I think, at that point.
Well, I could make a strong argument for it being a permanent commission, and there's really no comparison between the two. They came about differently. One was by a resolution, the other was just by a vote with no parameters, our legal counsel could give us the difference. We were not trying to set up a debate for tonight for it to have the debate at this point, whether it's permanent or not, because they haven't even had the chance to give a report yet. So I think any debate on making it permanent would be very premature because they've only had one year's worth of work. But that was the motion from the committee. It passed the committee unanimously to extend it a year. Either way, whatever the will of council is, we have got to fill. Is it 5? I believe it's 5 seats, if I remember right. And 4 of those are here. One of those is moving out of town and has to step off or asked to come off the commission. We do have room for people who don't live in town to be on that commission, but this person says he needs to resign. So, but anyway, that's the motion before us.
So is a report due
Next
before
year.
you? So is a report due in a commission before you decide to extend it in general?
Yes.
Do we have a report yet?
No, they've only been there 1 year.
So should we wait until we get a report?
Well, the motion is to extend it a year, though. We can have that debate. The motion is to extend it a year.
I'm for the Green Commission, but not without a report. I can't extend without a report. That's all.
Yes, sir, Mr. Brownstein.
So I've first want to start out by saying that I think I've been to almost all of the Green Commission meetings, and I find that the work that they are doing to be extremely valuable. I think they're talking about trees and native vegetation, general environmental awareness, natural ponds, low impact development. So I do applaud what the Green Commission does. I just think there's an interesting juxtaposition or kind of double standard between how we're treating the Green Commission versus the Rec Advisory Commission. The Rec Advisory Commission is tasked with coming up with a report, and then based on that report, some determination will be made whether to extend it or not. But tonight we're being asked to extend the Green Commission after just 1 year. I think we should wait and let them serve out the majority of their duration before making this decision. I'd like to see some consistency with how we're treating all boards and commissions. And so it's tough. I think, it serves a valuable function, and I really do appreciate what you guys do, and I'm in no way opposed to the Green Commission. In fact, I would be happy for you all to go into perpetuity because it does touch a lot of different facets of our lives, and I can definitely see the positive impact that you're making. I just think it's premature for us to extend it. In the event that we do extend it tonight, I would like to offer an amendment to it. My understanding is that the Green Commission can also consist of people who live outside of the town of Mount Pleasant, but east of the Cooper. Is that correct? So I would like to make an amendment to the third paragraph that would state that at all times a majority of the commission's members must be residents of the town of Mount Pleasant. I believe it's prudent because there are financial ramifications to some of the issues that are discussed and considered by the Green Commission, and that we should make sure that the majority of the commission is made up of residents who would share in any financial burden associated with those decisions.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. I believe if you've got a copy, that it limited how many can live out of town. So I believe that's already in the ordinance.
I didn't see that in the resolution. Could you point it out?
I don't have it with me, but may I ask a question? We already voted to extend the Recreation Advisory Commission. So if you're saying treat them the same, I hear two members of council saying we voted to extend one. We weren't given a reason why. We were given a reason why on the Green Commission, but you don't want to extend it. So how is that treating them the same?
We're only extended for 90 days because council wanted proof of, and actually you said it, that you wanted proof of what they accomplished. It's only been extended 90 days until they can provide the report of what they've done.
No, we extended it 90 days and the report's due in July, Councilman. And we extended it to October. So why vote to extend it to October when the report for the Recreation Advisory Commission is due in July, and then balk at this when we need the terms to be a year so that these people, so that we can appoint people for another year, and it comes with the recommendation from the committee?
Well, I think the Recreation Advisory Committee chairwoman probably has to answer that, but I think if the report is due in July, then I would assume, which is a dangerous word, but I would assume that the committee must then get the report, must review the report in a committee, which then puts it to August, and then it would get sent to council, which would then put it to September, which is how 90 days would work.
Okay. And so, but when we set them up for 2 years, and everybody has known that report is due in July, and that the Recreation Advisory Commission is set to expire in July, but we haven't seen a report ahead of time so that we could make that decision by July. So I'm just asking why say that you want to treat both the same when you are opposed to extending the Green Commission when given a reason, which was brought by committee, which really didn't even require a second, but we unanimously extended the Recreation Advisory Commission for 90 days, and we weren't given a reason why.
Mayor, I made the motion.
Mr. Chat, hang on. We are in discussion on the amendment to the resolution. Do you have the
I don't want
resolution?
to interrupt anyone's debate, but just for clarification, because there is a legal clarification. Paragraph 4 of the existing resolution provides that at least 6 members of the Green Commission members must live in the town of Mount Pleasant. So that is what it currently states. There is an additional provision that Green Commission members that do not live in the town of Mount Pleasant must be conservation stakeholders contiguous to and affected by the town of Mount Pleasant. So those are the current restrictions, so all council understands.
So given that,
so just to clarify, so that would still be in effect if this resolution is passed.
The current resolution, for all of council's benefit, that came from committee is simply to extend for 1 year. As I understand the committee discussion and what is before this council is simply that question. The 5 expired seats will need to be addressed either way, and that will come back to council next month. I think the idea was to determine what the notice for those potential new or reappointed commissioners is going to be. Is it going to be a 1-year term or a 2-year term? And that will come back to council. If there is a vote no tonight, then obviously the end date will be next year and the terms will be for 1 year. If there is the vote to approve this resolution, then those seats would be for 2 years. And at the 2-year point, council would then again need to extend. And as was mentioned by several council members, very well could be converted to a permanent or standing commission by ordinance if that's what council wishes to do at any time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to withdraw my amendment.
Thank you. And the second. Okay. Because it's in there. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm sorry, I'm still very confused. So there are 5 seats expiring
5 seats are expiring in 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so the goal would be to extend the commission by a year so those 5 seats could get 2-year terms.
The motion tonight is simply to extend the life of the commission from ending 2025 to 2026. There's no vote on those commission members' reappointment or not.
Okay. And then there's 6 other commission members.
There are 9 total, so there are 4
Four.
others.
So, and the 4 other ones, their terms are set to expire in 2025.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay, so when the committee was formed, 5 were given 1-year terms and 4 were given 2-year terms.
Yes,
so the
ma'am.
committee was set up to be staggered.
Yes, ma'am. The purpose and consideration that was discussed at that time was the very possibility of making this a permanent commission. And if that were to happen, then you would already have the staggered seats. You would not be in a position where you then have to appoint people for 3 or more year terms. So that was the reasoning behind it. That was the council reasoning behind it.
So this extension tonight would then set up a problem for the other 4 seats in 2025, because then those 4 seats, we would have to give them a 1-year term, because then the commission's set to expire in 2026, or we would have to continue to extend or make it permanent at that point to then give them a 2-year. So if the concern is giving someone a 2-year term versus a 1-year term, we're not solving a problem by extending by 1 year.
Next year, absent making this commission permanent, this council will face the exact same question as facing tonight. Again, the issue and the reason it was developed this way was, should council decide to make this permanent, you would already have the staggered seats in place. But yes, ma'am, you're absolutely correct.
Okay. So I think this is premature. I think I think the Green Commission is the concept behind it is fantastic. I think, given what Councilman Brownstein has said, they're doing great work, but we have not received any sort of report to that effect that I think justifies a full year of extension. I mean, maybe we could ask for a report sooner than a year from now. And I'm not opposed to the Green Commission eventually becoming a permanent commission, should that be justified. But I think this just seems strange to me, because it just sets up a problem for next year, the exact same problem we're facing tonight.
And a question.
You have the floor.
In the event that this resolution doesn't pass tonight, does that prevent us from advertising to either reappoint those 1-year terms to another year or bringing in new applicants?
No, ma'am. No, sir. The only difference is that the question is whether those seats are 1-year seats or 2-year seats. But nevertheless, the committee will need to address those reappointments, and that will come to council next month. Simply whether it's a 1-year or a 2-year seat. That is it.
Got one more question.
Yes, sir.
So, have the seats expired yet?
Yes, sir. I believe they are expired technically in May.
Yes.
But as our ordinances read, that they're going to sit until there are reappointments. But
Okay, so the new commission's just up in May anyway. Okay, and is the Recreation Commission a resolution?
No.
it was a vote of council.
And okay, and what's the difference then on those two on the 2 commissions?
All right, sir.
Sorry.
Legally, I think they have the same effect.
Okay.
The rules are different, though, simply because the Green Commission was laid out again with the option for more permanency in the future. Of course, the same could happen to the Rec Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Rec Commission, if we go further, if council decides to go further with that, my absolute recommendation is going to be to prepare a resolution in a similar format so that you have consistency.
And so we can correct this in the future with the Rec Commission. When was it and when was it due the report? When was that? Did we write in when their report was due? Like it expired, I guess, in.
So it was before the expiration.
Okay. And then, do we know if the committee asked for the report, just out of curiosity, before the expiration?
Are you talking about when the committee was when the commission was formed?
No, did we request the report or when
Ask Mr. Demora, I think, can answer your question.
yeah.
Are you speaking of the Green Commission?
No,
or
the rec commission. Did we write in? Are we making sure that we write in on these commissions from now on so we don't make this mistake that a report is due 90 days before the expiration date?
It's never been written in. It's been clearly implied that a group of individuals was specifically selected to study a particular set of problems or one
Right.
problem, and then at the end of it, they would produce a report. Every committee, every commission that's been that I can remember that has been created by town council has followed that very same format.
Implied format.
Well, if the rec
Well, I'm
commission
saying-
was done by council vote,
Right.
then there is no paper document that trails it.
Right.
If it was done by resolution, you can include it in the resolution.
Right. I think it's just a good idea to write those in that they're due 90 days before X amount of time or something. That way we're not having this discussion, or the future council doesn't have to have this discussion again. Okay.
Mr. Rambo.
I think we are very lucky to have so many citizens who want to, for free, donate their time away from their families to help us solve various issues, whether it has to be with recreation programs or conservation and green initiatives. I support both commissions. I plan on voting to extend this commission, just like I plan on voting to extend the Recreation Commission. I don't think we can have enough citizen input in these issues that affect their lives. So I'm happy to have them, and let's go.
Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Since I made the motion to
Right.
start with. Our attorney very well placed the reason we're asking for this to go another year. And that was that when we voted on the Green Commission, we purposely staggered the terms. And that's why we are going another year, why this resolution's on the agenda. Again, it was envisioned with having a resiliency committee that we would have expertise on all of the issues that were put in the original resolution to create the Resiliency Committee and also the Green Commission. I certainly don't have all the answers for what we discuss in the Resiliency Committee. I don't think any member of the Resiliency Committee has all the answers for ecology, natural resources, environment. But we have been able, because of the way that commission was created, to have expertise on that commission with all of these particular issues. Unfortunately, the Recreation Commission was created for one reason, and one reason only, and that was to pass a referendum to get $50 million for our citizens to vote on and to encourage the reason. So with that, I would call for the question.
Well, I've got one more.
Yes, sir.
I think I'd like to make some kind of motion that we just ask for the report 90 days. So this is going to get voted on again in a year. So could we just make a motion to make sure that the report is due 90 days before the vote happens in a year, if that makes sense?
You're talking about next year.
Well, yeah. Well, next year you're going to have to have a report. Next year this is going to come up again.
I can say it won't. I mean, we can ask them, tell them we expect the report. We don't need a motion.
Okay, so a report will be given 90 days before the vote next year.
Well, staff told the Recreation Advisory Commission back in February that a report would be due in July. We didn't do a motion for that.
Well, I think they're got to make if the Rec Commission is going to go through again, I think we better make sure we put it in there. I mean, I'd like it black and white, just on paper. Here it is, guys. So, if nobody wants to second the motion and we don't want to report, then that's okay. So, but I mean, I'm for the Green Commission. I just think that we have to have some kind of consistency on how this is done. And if we're going to vote and we're going to put future councils that they have to vote for this, they should be due a report by a certain time. Is there anything wrong with having a report due 90 days before the vote? And can it be written in, Mr. Baglerini?
No, sir, there's nothing wrong with it. Council can move to amend or condition the extension based on that. Or next year, when the original 2-year period is up and there's another discussion as to whether to make the commission permanent or whether to extend another year, council has the option of saying, I'm not going to approve until I see a report. I mean, I think it's implied, as our town administrator said. So it is really up to 5 members of council or more as to whether to extend it any further. So I think you can get the same result either way.
Okay.
I'll second a motion for
All right.
report 90 days before, if that's your motion, Mr. Acapano.
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
That would be an amendment.
So that's an amendment. But we already have one amendment that we're in discussion of.
Well, that was withdrawn.
I'm sorry. You're right.
So
Yes.
as I understand the amendment, it is a motion that prior to the original expiration date, within 90 days of the original expiration date, or perhaps today, I'm not sure which one you want, probably more fair.
Expiration date, yeah.
Okay.
From original.
That the commission provide a report on.
Its activities to council.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't.
On its activities to council.
Activities.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think all commissions that expire should have to do that. So.
But the motion here is only
Yeah, that's correct.
Green Commission. Okay. We have a motion and a second about the 90 days before the original expiration date report is due to council. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion.
No.
Okay, we have 2 noes. Okay, motion carries. Okay, so now we are on the original motion to extend the Green Commission for 1 year from its original expiration date.
Sir, the date is essentially 1 year from the appointment, because the appointments are going to be for 1 year.
From the appointments.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, from the appointment. So we clear on that? Everyone clear on that? Okay. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. All right. Old business, section B, there are no council old business items, and section 11 is to adjourn. So having completed our agenda, this council meeting is adjourned.
Upstairs at all? Huh? I left my purse upstairs.
Yeah, I'm going upstairs. Where'd you leave it? In the conference room? Yeah, it should be open.
Why are we extending?
But I'll get it up there.